160 because of the boofer. There's 20. There's another 20. And that brings you down to 250. Wait, we might have just won. Please tell me there's a Munkidori in here, please. Guys, we just won. Oh my god, we just won. No way did we just win. Get the Dark Energy. And we ping all this damage onto the Gardevoir. And we hit for 200. No way did we just pull this off. That's insane. That's insane. She's giving me the thumbs down. We just won. It's crazy. Wow, that might be the intro to the video.
Yo, what's poppin' PokePals? Rare TCG here with a brand new video. Today I'm going to be showcasing my Bouffalant EX deck. For those of you who don't know what Bouffalant EX does, it has the ability Boofer, get it, like buffer, which once this Pokemon goes into the active position, it takes 30 less damage from any attack. If you combine that with the baby Bouffalant that was introduced in the Stellar Crown with its Curly Wall ability, which makes all basic normal Pokemon take 60 less damage if 2 of these Bouffalants are on the bench, then guess what? Just by playing this card, you're automatically taking 90 less damage. So essentially, you have 310 HP on this Pokemon. To help power this thing up, we also have Xatu with its ability Clairvoyant Sense, which allows me to attach a Psychic Energy from my hand to one of my bench Pokemon, and then if I do, I draw 2 cards. We also have Latias for free retreat for our Bouffalant, so we can switch our Bouffalants in and out of the active to help keep them alive. And of course, we also play Munkidori because why wouldn't we? We want to get some of those damage counters off of our Bouffalant in order to help it stay healthy and active. Now, its attack Gold Breaker does 100 damage, but if it's an EX you're versing, then it does 200 damage, which isn't great in terms of damage. So to help alleviate that, I have Rocky Helmet as one of my items, and I also have Spiky Energy. So if my opponent decides to attack my Bouffalant EX, they're not only going to be taking Rocky Helmet damage, but they're also going to be taking Spiky Energy damage. We also have Psychic Energy for our Clairvoyant Sense with Xatu, and we have our Dark Energy for Munkidori, and we can help power ourselves up with the help of Crispin. And of course, if we go below in prize cards, we also have Defiance Vest, which if you have more prize cards remain than your opponent, meaning your opponent is winning and you're losing, your active Pokemon takes 40 less damage. So on top of the 90 that you already have, now you're getting an extra 40. So that's 130 less damage, and this Bouffalant becomes an unbreakable wall for most Pokemon. That means Dragapult's only doing 70 damage to you if you have more prize cards than your opponent. So I'm done yapping. Let's get into action and see how it goes. Okay, so here we are in game 1. I'm actually recording this audio after the fact because we had some pretty long matchups and I don't want you guys to sit through all those matchups. As you guys saw in the introduction, we do verse a Gardevoir later on in this game, and that match was almost 20 minutes long, so I don't want you guys sitting through that whole matchup. This first matchup, we went up against an Iron Thorns deck with a Crustle as their attacker. So I just got things set up pretty quickly right now. I had the Artazon inactive, I had the Nest Ball, so I had both my Curly Wall Bouffalants on the bench, and I got my Bouffalant EX with the Spiky Energy attached to it. So things are going phenomenal so far. My opponent is going to set up yet another Iron Thorns with their Nest Ball and attach an Energy and a Turbo Energizer to their Iron Thorn. So they also had a phenomenal opening. Now we get passed back to us. I make a big mistake in this matchup, and I believe I overbench. Yes, I overbenched the Natus. I should have kept that other bench space open for another Munkidori, considering I didn't even have a Xatu at the moment. Well, now I do. But you really want to only have one Xatu in play. You don't really need 2, because right now I could have set up this Bouffalant if I had an Energy in my hand, but unfortunately I didn't. So my opponent is going to get their second Iron Thorns completely set up. They're going to take out my Xatu, which I'm not really upset about because now that my Defiance Vest is active, which will allow my Bouffalant EX to take 130 less damage, like I said, in the showcasing of the deck. I did get another Natu set up. The hardest part about this deck is trying to get your Xatus, because you don't really have a way to get Xatu out of the deck in this deck. Obviously, you probably want to add like an Ultra Ball or something to that effect. Later on, I do edit this deck, as you'll see later in a later matchup. I get rid of the Hero's Cape and I replace it with Precious Trolley, just so it makes it easier for me to set up. And as you saw there, I only took 40 damage from Iron Thorns, which is crazy because Iron Swords usually hits for a lot. We do get another Spike Energy, which is phenomenal, and I'm going to swing for 200, so they survive with 10 HP remaining. But if they swing at me, their Iron Thorns is going down. They do have a Crushing Hammer, and they land heads, so they get rid of one of my Spike Energies, which stinks, but it is what it is. I did get the Crispin out of my Iono, so I can start powering up Munkidori, but they see that play, and they go straight for the Munkidori. I'm not too upset though, because we do have Artazon, and I can just get another Munkidori right on the bench, powered up with Crispin, and power up this Bouffalant. So here we go. I do exactly that. I get the Munkidori onto the bench. I get the Dark Energy into my deck, onto my Munkidori, and I put the Psychic Energy in my hand, and we are ready to go. I'm gonna destroy this Iron Thorns right now with this Munkidori and swing at whatever Pokemon decides to come up. I wanted to get the Dwebble in the active, but unfortunately I didn't have any gusting at the moment, and we just swing. Now, if they swing into my Bouffalant, then their Iron Thorns is going down. Unfortunately, my vest is now inactive because we are even in the prize card trading, but hey, it is what it is. So my opponent gets the Luxurious Cape set up onto their Crustle, and they do get the Crustle set up. So that's going to be really annoying. This thing was a real pain in my backside, and they actually had the Medical Energy, which saved this Iron Thorns, which is absolutely crazy. I didn't even know that Iron Thorns played Medical Energy in this deck. So that was a little disappointing that I wasn't able to take out the Iron Thorns with Munkidori, but I was able to ping that damage onto the Crustle and get it going. So I'm down to 2 prize cards. My opponent still has 4 that they have to take, so I'm thinking to myself, I'm in a pretty phenomenal position right now. If worst comes to worst, I can just use Munkidori to ping that energy back to Crustle. And then this, guys, is where I found out that Crustle's attack goes through Curly Wall and still does the complete 120 damage. So this is when I started pooping my pants, and I was like, oh man, this is not great. So I pinged as much damage as I could, and then I started loading up the baby Bouffalant on the bench. I was like, I have to get this other Bouffalant going. I attached the cape to it, that way it could withstand another hit. And I unfortunately whiffed the Iono, and there's nothing I could really do. I just had to end my turn and let my opponent do what they're gonna do. So at this point, I kind of saw like how this deck was going to fall apart in this matchup. I was like, okay, maybe we could do something. They get another Crushing Hammer. I'm like, please don't flip heads. They do not. If they flipped heads, they absolutely would have got rid of the Dark Energy on my baby Bouffalant, and that would have been really bad. So unfortunately, I can't bring the Bouffalant up to the active because then Xatu won't work, but I make a big risk here and do it anyway. I'm not quite sure why I did that, but I did. I was like, at this point, let me get down to the Munkidori. I tried to get a Crispin, but I didn't because I really wanted to get another Munkidori set up. And looking back at this matchup, I probably should have gotten another another Munkidori set up. And I did get 2 Xatus, which was amazing. I usually don't put 2 Xatus on the bench, but in this case, I felt like I had to. I was like, okay, this Bouffalant in the active is just going to be death fodder, and I'm going to use the Bouffalant on the bench to help get me through this. So I load up both of my Munkidoris. I'm like, okay, if they attack, I'm pinging 60 damage onto them. But then they pulled out this A-Spec, and this A-Spec completely turned the tide of the match. And once I saw that A-Spec, I was like, oh no, he's going to out-damage me, and that's game. Because he could take out this Bouffalant in 2 turns. He got the Pokemon catcher, which really upset me. I was like, oh, he's going to flip heads and take out my Bouffalant. But thankfully, he flipped tails. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. He's going to do too much damage to my Bouffalant, and it's going to be GG's. I was hoping he would bench something else so I could put down the boss's orders and boss something else up and start pinging, but no. He also does me dirty, my opponent, and doesn't even attack me. He sees what's coming. So I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Clairvoyant Sense onto this Bouffalant. And then I'm going to attach the Spike Energy to the active Bouffalant. Oh, I don't even do that. I just bring up this Bouffalant and just start swinging. Okay, in hindsight, I can see what I was going for. Unfortunately, I'm going to lose this Bouffalant in the active, but my thought process was probably, he'll take this one down, I'll bring the other one up, I'll put the Spike Energy on that one, and then hopefully I can take out that Crustle next turn, but I get Iono'd, that's what happens, and I lose the Spike Energy, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because now he's going to deal a lot of damage to me, and I didn't really know what to promote at this point, so I was like, just put the Xatu up. At this point, I didn't have any gusting in my deck, so that was a little awkward. I had to put down another Bouffalant so that the Bouffalant on the bench would take less damage. Not that it matters, but I just conceded anyway. I didn't see a way out of this matchup, so on to game 2. Alright, so this is game 2. This is the match that you saw at the beginning of the video against the Gardevoir EX. I did put this video at 2x speed because my opponent takes forever. I mean, it's Gardevoir, they always take forever. As you can see, I started with Pheasantipity, which is literally like the worst starting that you can have in the active position, but I did have one Bouffalant on the bench, so I used my Artazon to get myself another Bouffalant and get that rolling. Later on, when I edit this deck, and you guys will have the edited version of this deck in the description down below, I get rid of Pheasantipity because I see it as nothing more than just a liability in this deck. It's really annoying to get out of the active position. It doesn't really do much in this deck because I don't really have a need to draw that many cards, especially when my Bouffalant is really hard to take down, especially for a Pokemon like Gardevoir EX. So Pheasantipity is kind of useless in this deck, and it's not until after this game that I realize that. I also get rid of the Hero's Cape as my ace spec, and I replace it with Precious Trolley because I realized the importance of setting up a bench a lot sooner. I do get my Bouffalant EX with the Spike Energy attached to it, and this is where things started to go a little in my favor. I would have loved to have gotten another Munkidori, or at least one Munkidori on the bench, but I did overbench and put 2 Natus. You don't want to overbench with Natus because you only really need one Xatu and one turn of attaching to get this Bouffalant set up, but I did overbench here, so that was my bad. My opponent also has an amazing start right now. They get their Gardevoir EX, they item locked me. I'm in a really bad position right now, so there really wasn't anything I could do. I just kind of skip. The reason why I also, while my opponent does the Gardevoir things, I'll just briefly talk. The reason why I also make these videos shorter is because I don't know about you, but me personally, when I see a video that's like 45 to like an hour long or longer on YouTube, I'm deterred from watching it because it's like, okay, now I have to commit all this time to watching this video, and if it's about like a deck that I'm not really keen on, like I just watch it because, like, for example, I like For the Win TCG. I like him as a content creator. I like him as a person, so I watch a lot of his videos even if I don't want to watch the deck he's building. But his videos are short and they're entertaining, so it makes me comfortable to watch his videos because they're shorter, and that's what I try to do. As a content creator, I don't want to put out like a 50-minute video like some YouTubers do, because then I feel like my audience has to dedicate all that time to watching my video, and what I'm showcasing might not even be something that like they're really that interested in. They might just like me as a person, so I don't want to eat up too much of my viewers' time, if that makes sense. I do get the Xatu set up, and I do get the Bouffalant EX set up with the help of Xatu, and I have a Munkidori on the bench. I was very concerned about this screen tail on the bench because I was thinking to myself, oh, they're totally going to snipe my baby Bouffalants, because everybody does. Once everybody sees the baby Bouffalant and they see what I'm doing with this Bouffalant EX, my Bouffalants become a target on the bench. So I'm like, here they go. They're going to load up the screen tail. They're going to Munkidori off the screen tail onto the baby Bouffalant, and they're just going to swing for the fences and take out my Bouffalant. And I was like, oh man, this really stinks. But
that's when I found out at this moment, and my opponent finds out too because she gives me the sad face as you see there, that curly hair actually prevents damage on your bench as well. So I was just able to move those damage counters off of my baby Bouffalant onto the Munkidori and retreat my Xatu with an energy attachment. And then I swing at this Jellicent. Now because I have the Spike Energy and the Rocky Helmet, I was completely set up to just take out this Jellicent using Munkidori. Again, if I didn't have that extra Natu on the bench and I had a second Munkidori instead, this would have been a much better matchup. But unfortunately, I overbenched here. So that's the end of that. I don't know if you just heard that little Cubchoo cry. My wife just texted me. That's her text home, because Cubchoo's her favorite Pokemon. She's at work and she's asking me to read her email because I'm an English teacher and that's what I do. I make sure her grammar and spelling and all that's correct. Life of an English teacher. So even when I'm not at work, I'm still working. But anyway, unfortunately my opponent gets yet another Munkidori set up, and that completely shuts down my plan for taking out this Jellicent. And they take out my curly-haired Bouffalant. So now I'm taking the full brunt of this Jellicent, which stinks. So I wasn't too concerned about it though, because I did have the Artazon, so I can get another Bouffalant set up. And they only do 50 damage to me, which is almost nothing. I am going to use the Artazon here, get myself a Bouffalant. And I'm going to use the Munkidori to ping the damage onto the Pheasantipity, because that Pheasantipity, I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, that's going to be my win con. I'm going to get my boss, I'm going to boss up the Pheasantipity, take 2 prize cards for free, and that'll really put me into a solid position. My opponent is going to use their Night Stretcher. I believe they get themselves back a Munkidori. No, they got themselves Stream Tail. And then they Iono'd me, and I was like, damn, I really wanted that boss because that Pheasantipity was staring me down. And I was like, I really need to take that thing down. So I'm just looking at my discard pile, seeing what I have in there, seeing how I can get myself out of here. Now, with all of these damage modifiers, my Bouffalant is only taking 100 damage from Gardevoir, which I know that only 100, right? But listen, every damage counter that you don't take is a blessing for this deck. So here they go with the Screen Tail. I'm thinking to myself, they can't take out the Bouffalant on the bench with Screen Tail because we do have the Curly Wall ability. So I was thinking they were probably going to take out the Natu, and that would be best case scenario if they do. But then I saw that they used 2 Munkidoris, and I was like, oh, maybe they can take out the Bouffalant. So my opponent is going to use their attack with it, Raging Scream, and they take out the Munkidori. So then I was even more confused. I was like, okay, maybe they're just going to take out the Bouffalant with the use of Munkidori. So I was like, let me get another Munkidori down. I need to get this down. I get my Earthen Vessel Ruin, and I pull out the Hero's Cape, and this is the one time where Hero's Cape was actually useful to me because I put it onto the Munkidori so that it couldn't get sniped again. And I just used the Adrenabrain to take out... Actually, I don't take anything out. Honestly, now that I'm looking back at it, I should have used that to take out the Screen Tail and put myself into a better position. I don't know why I put it onto the Pheasantipity. I probably should have just went straight for that Screen Tail, took it out with Munkidori and called it a day, but I didn't for some reason. Now my opponent has their Gardevoir set up, and I don't remember how, but they do take out my Natu, and then that's where you guys come in from the intro of the video. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they are just gonna take the damage off of a Pokemon, put it onto Natu, and call it a day. I think that's what they do, if I'm not mistaken. I saw that I had the Spike Energy. That could be useful to me, but at this point in the game, it's kind of not useful. And we are coming into the last turn for my opponent, if I'm not mistaken, because I think they take out Natu, and then they... Yes, they're going to take out Natu because they're going to use their Gardevoir's ability to get damage counters onto... damage counters onto the Gardevoir, and then they're just going to swing.
Yeah, but even at 2 times speed, guys, you can see how long it takes for Gardevoir players to make their moves. Like, I still have almost 16 minutes on my clock, and my opponent is almost at 7 minutes. So I'm more than twice as fast as they are when it comes to playing the game. That's why I really can't wait for Gardevoir EX to rotate out, because I feel like it's so unhealthy for the game. It just takes so damn long to play and so annoying to watch. It's gonna, they all do the same thing, and it's so annoying. So I can't wait for Gardevoir to rotate out. But they are gonna hit me for 160 because I do have the Boofer ability still active, and this is where you guys came in. This is where I get the Artazon set up to get my Munkidori. I use the Night Stretcher to get my Dark Energy, attach it to my second Munkidori. I ping all the damage counters onto this Gardevoir, and with that I hit the Gardevoir for just enough damage to knock it out, going into game 3. Okay, here we are in game 3. I have a phenomenal start with this. I have my Bouffalant EX in the active, and I have 2 Curly Wall Bouffalants on the bench, so my Bouffalant EX is completely set up at this point. As you can see, I have the Air Balloon in my hand, which means this is post-editing this deck, and this is the deck that you guys will be getting in the description down below. This matchup was not a long one, but I am recording it post-recording because I forgot to turn my mic back on afterwards. And I was just like, oh man, because I turned my mic off when I was versing the Gardevoir EX, and I was like, you know what, just going to the next match. But silly me, I forgot to unmute my mic. So I am recording this after in post. So I'm still not sure what my opponent is doing, and then I saw the Dragapult, and I was like, oh, the Dreepy rather, and I was like, oh man, this sucks. They have the Latias, so they can retreat the Pheasantipity, and I didn't know this, but Meloetta EX allows them to use even TM Evo on their first turn, which is crazy, and this is turn 1 for them. So they had the Karma in their hand, they had the Squawking Seed in their hand. I mean, my opponent was completely set up. They had like a beautiful beginning. I was like, damn, we're gonna have to do a lot of work in this. So I put down Latias EX. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I was like, whatever. I attached the Rocky Helmet to my Bouffalant, and I try to get things going with the Natu and the Rocky Helmet, but then I was like, you know what, let me see. And I saw I only have one Natu, so I was like, let me not get the Buddy-Buddy, and let me get the Precious Trolley instead. And that's why I opted for Precious Trolley as my ace spec instead. So I get the Munkidori instead, and I decided just to power up the Munkidori because I said there's no point in me going with this Bouffalant right now. I don't even have a Xatu right now. I have like no energy to equip to this thing, and it's just not going to be an easy time to get this Bouffalant going. Energy is the biggest concern with this deck. I have thought about using like Teal Mask Ogerpon with Area 0 Ender Depths, and then using End's Plan to power up the Bouffalant EX, but I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe that might work. If anybody wants to try that in the comment section, let me know how that goes. But my opponent gets everything that they want right now. They got their Sparkling Crystal. They have their cloak set up right now. That's what I don't understand, though. They attacked me with Meloetta, but for some reason, my Rocky Helmet didn't activate. They should have gotten 2 damage counters on them. Let me know in the comment section down below why that Meloetta didn't get 2 damage counters, because they did attack me. You guys saw that clear as day. They attacked, and it didn't do any damage to me. I was so confused. But I don't care. The Meloetta literally can't do anything to me. It only does 30 damage, and without the curly hair Bouffalant on the bench, I'm already taking 0 damage because of my Bouffer ability. So my Bouffalant's completely safe from this Meloetta. So we do make a phenomenal play though in this game, so stick around for that. My opponent gets Dragapult all set up, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna hurt. Because now they can start pinging my Pokemon on the bench. Thankfully I had Munkidori set up. It was just a matter of who were they going to ping on the bench. That was the quintessential question. I still didn't have any energy on this Bouffalant except for that Psychic Energy. So here I was thinking this is going to be really hard. And they knock out my Natu, which I kind of saw coming. Why would you not? But that did leave a bench space open for a second Munkidori. So I was like, alright, let's put the other Munkidori down. Let's get this down. Let's get that down. I put the Psychic Energy in my hand. I attached to that Munkidori. and I ping all these damage counters onto the Dracloak on the bench because I want to start softening up the other Dragapult once it comes up. You know, the more damage you can get onto a Dracloak, the better. That way when it becomes a Dragapult, it isn't as menacing. But unfortunately for me, my opponent still has like the greatest hand of their whole life, and they are able to get themselves a Dragapult, and they are able to set themselves up for the second Dragapult. As you'll see here, they get the boss's orders. I mean, like, they were schmoovin' and grooving. I really don't know how we came back in this matchup, but we do. As you'll see. Sorry for spoiling, but we do come back. Dragapult gets put down, and I'm just here thinking to myself, okay, well, they still have to retreat this Dragapult, but then they boss me up. They take out my Munkidori because they see that as the biggest threat, and honestly, I don't blame them. The Munkidoris can get very annoying. Honestly, if I were them, though, I probably would have taken out the Bouffalant, because, yeah, I'm pinging 60 damage off of my Bouffalant, but I could also be taking 60 more damage if they take out the Bouffalant, and then they could just OHKO the Bouffalant EX, but they do not see that play, thankfully, and allow me to just get another Bouffalant set up. I get a boss's orders, and I'm thinking to myself, how can I utilize this? I can't really, so I just take this time to take these damage counters and put them onto that Dragapult, and I can't really do anything, so I just boss up the Dragapult, hoping that they don't have an energy in their hand, and I end my turn. Unfortunately for me, though, they do have a Psychic Energy in their hand, and I was like, damn, well, I just wasted my boss on that, but let's see where this goes. And then they Carmine, and I was like, really? You're gonna do that? So I'm really in a position where I don't really know what to do at this point. I'm just watching this Dracloak take out my Bouffalant on the bench, doing damage to my Bouffalant EX, and at this point I was really nervous. I was like, I don't know if I could win this matchup. This is probably a lost cause. Let me just Iono. Iono them down to 3, I get 6. I get the Spike Energy, which I was happy about, and I get the Munkidori, but without the Crispin, I can't really set this thing up. I can get another Bouffalant thanks to my Nest Ball. I am going to ping the damage onto this Dragapult, and I am just shy by 10 HP of knocking out this Dragapult. So here I was thinking to myself, well, they have to retreat the Dragapult, because if they don't retreat the Dragapult, if they hit me, my Rocky Helmet's just going to take them out, or my Spike Energy, or both. So they had to retreat. So that was my opponent's fall there. They retreat into the other Dragapult, the healthy one, and I know I could take a hit from this Dragapult, but it was just a matter of who they're going to ping. They can't take anybody out on the bench, but where are the damage counters going to go, you know? So they hit my Munkidori, and this was where the game ends. I was like, oh, they have enough. They have 90 damage. I could ping damage onto the Bolt Dragapults with my Munkidoris, and that will get me 4 prize cards. So I ping it onto that Dragapult. I ping the damage off of this Bouffalant onto the bench Dragapult. I take out the one on the bench, take my 2 prize cards, and my opponent concedes, and that is the game. Alright, that's going to do it for my Bouffalant EX deck that you guys saw here today. As you saw in that last clip, I did wind up changing the A-Spec to Precious Trolley. That way I could get all the Pokemon that I need on my bench a little easier. It's not a terrible deck. It's certainly not a deck I would recommend. It's probably the weakest of the decks that I've built. But when it works, it's fun. But there are plenty of ways to get around Bouffalant EX. I've cut out so many matches. I played like 12 matches today out of the like 4 that you've seen today because I had trouble setting up. It was like not a good showcase of the deck. We lost a lot, I'm not going to lie. But I think it's a fun deck. There might be some room for improvement. So if you guys have any comments that you want to leave down below on how you could make this deck better, please by all means, because I do like this archetype, this building up this Bouffalant as beefy as possible and then just letting it roll. I have thought about just putting it in the active, attaching nothing but Spike Energy and having nothing but Munkidoris on the bench and just like really making this thing an absolute menace with the 2 Bouffalant on the bench, but you know, that takes up a lot of bench space. You could also just use Teal Mask Ogerpon and End's Plan to get all those energies off the Ogerpon and onto the Bouffalant, but at that point, then you're playing a completely different deck, but I don't know. I've thought about some ways to make it better, but let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace!